So how do you know that you found the one? Someone who is marriage worthy. This video is basically 10 ways to know that you found a man that is worthy of spending the rest of his life with you, or someone that is good for marriage. We're going to go through 10 characteristics that you should look out for in someone you're dating to decide if this is something worth pursuing further or something to cut off. Let's get right into it. So the first thing is that he's a man of character. And what does this mean? When you think about marriage and the fact that it's a long-term commitment, it just makes sense to give proper weight to the things that matter in the long run versus petty little things and things that fade, like beauty, like looks, like wealth, things that can change with time. So give proper weight to things that really matter in the long run. Gauge a guy's character by if he's trustworthy, if he's reliable, if he is compassionate, kind. I'm looking at my notes. He's someone who's able to take responsibility for his actions. He's not always trying to shift the blame to someone else. He is not quick to anger. He's trustworthy. You have to really think that, is this someone I can go through the highs and lows of life with? Is this someone who has characteristics that make me feel confident that I'm not making a mistake? Judge a guy by his character first and foremost, before anything else. And here's a quick way to test it. Are you excited at the potential of your child, if you have children, looking exactly like this guy, having all his traits, or does that scare you? If it scares you, then this isn't going to work, because that's a very real possibility. This is someone you're going to be building a life with and potentially having children with. So this is important. Don't scheme on this. Don't make excuses for poor character. Don't brush it under the carpet. It will surface again and it will haunt you. And you would know that you had a chance to judge his character and you skipped on it. So don't skip on this one. Take the time to dig deep, ask great questions, and really prioritize things that matter in the long run. Even if your friends are not feeling him because he's not as cute as your type is. If he's a guy of substance, prioritize that above looks. Okay, now the second point is that you don't have a soulmate. Choose this guy based on wisdom, not on gut feel, not on those butterflies in your belly when you see, not on those movie depictions of love at first sight. It's nonsense. Make sure this is someone you've chosen based on wisdom, not on the fact that you feel like you're just meant to be and he's your soulmate. And here's what I mean by that. When you know that this is someone you should choose based on wisdom and based on actual characteristics you can observe, then you remember that the onus is on you to ask good questions, to evaluate, and to make time to prioritize the important things. When you're thinking of soulmate vibes, then you start to put too much weight on chemistry and just knowing, just feeling each other. Chemistry is important, yes, like you need to like each other, and the prospect of living together forever, having sex forever should be exciting, but poor character will kill attraction. And there are a lot of people that can tell you that it's not enough to be attractive. The feelings fade. So make sure that your choices right now are based on wisdom, not on, oh, he's my soulmate, or I just feel like there's just this connection. That's all great, but this is something that is bigger than that. So choose based on wisdom, not on gut feeling, not on chemistry, not on the fact that you think this might be your soulmate. You have to share core values, and you have to be able to be sure that this person is mature on different levels that count in the long run. I've done a video that I will insert somewhere here on 9 kinds of maturity to cultivate and how to know that you're ready for marriage. It's a good one to watch to gauge yours and your partner's readiness for marriage. It talks about emotional maturity, financial, sexual, and if you're wondering what sexual maturity is, you should totally watch that video. There's just so much to evaluate, and just make sure that you're doing the due diligence up front so that you don't enter based on vibes. Assume nothing, ask all your questions, dig deep, make sure that you're confident enough that this person is good for your future, not just right now. All right, the third point is make sure you choose a man who is full of the Spirit. And this one is for my Christian sisters out there. If you're not a Christian, hear me out. There's still something for you here. I wish that you would embrace Jesus and come to, experience the awesomeness, but I understand if you're not there yet. But this point is really saying that you won't regret choosing a man who is full of the Spirit. And don't mistake this for a guy who is leading in church. I have no issues against church leaders. I just know that you can be very charismatic and know how to say the right things without necessarily being a believer and demonstrating the fruits of the Spirit. The fruit of the Spirit. The fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. And you need to look out for a man who is demonstrating these characteristics. Proof that he has spent time with the Holy Spirit. His character has been refined over time. He's not a new believer. He's somebody that has spent time understanding the Word of God and how it applies to marriage. I talk about this more in my book, Situationship: How to Stop Breaking Your Own Heart. Under the chapter, I talk about different kinds of maturity. There are different reasons why you want to choose somebody who is grounded in their faith. They don't just say they're a Christian. They actually live out Christian values. It's one thing to say, it's another thing to walk the walk every day. Someone who is like double dipping, they're dating two people at the same time, and they're a leader in church. How is that demonstrating self-control? How is that demonstrating that you really are going to be committed to me? Like, I don't know, it's a bad vibe. So look out for the things that are demonstrating that they really work with the Spirit. I want to share an example from my life, and one of the ways I knew that my husband was a good fit for me, or the one, as we like to say. It's from It's from 1 Timothy chapters 3 verses 1 to 13, and I'm actually going to read it so you can see it yourself. Maybe one day I'll share my full story of how I knew, but it involved like a 19-minute voice note, and yeah, look out for it one day. This is 1 Timothy 3 verses 1 to 13. This is the part of the Bible that talks about leaders in church, and the reason why it's important is because for a while I was struggling with this concept of submission and headship and all of that good stuff. And then when I finally came to terms with it, I said, you know what? I have the power to choose someone I will submit to. That means that I can choose someone who submission doesn't feel like a hard word with. I can choose someone who makes it easy to submit. I can choose someone who has characteristics that make them worthy of submission, if you will. If there are characteristics in the Bible for what leaders in church should look like, I figured a leader in my house should also have some of these characteristics. That's why I went to this chapter of the Bible. It's 1 Timothy 3 1 to 13. I'm going to read it, and then as you read through, you can hear some of the characteristics yourself and be the judge for your partner and if they meet the bill. And there's also something for the ladies as well. Don't worry, we're not left out. So 1 Timothy 3 1 to 13. Here is a trustworthy saying: whoever aspires to be an overseer desires a noble task. One quick second while I switch it to the version that I actually prefer, NLT. Okay. This is a trustworthy saying. If someone aspires to be a church leader, he desires an honorable position. So a church leader must be a man whose life is above reproach. He must be faithful to his wife. He must exercise self-control, live wisely, and have a good reputation. He must enjoy having guests in his home. This is hospitality, and we actually don't talk about it enough. He must be able to teach. He must He must not be a heavy drinker or be violent. He must be gentle, not quarrelsome, and not love money. He must manage his own family well, having children who respect and obey him. For if a man cannot manage his own household, how can he take care of God's church? A church leader must not be a new believer. And I talked about this a little bit earlier, because he might become proud and the devil will cause him to fall rather. The reason why this is important is that there's a season of discipleship after you become a believer where you need to start learning what it really means to be a believer. Where some people have like instant change, immediately they become a believer, but I believe that time still allows you to mature more, understand the Bible, understand what it means to walk with the Spirit, not be overzealous. Jackie Hill Perry, one of my faves, does this thing on her story where she shares how zealous she used to be for the gospel and how she was very like on her tone was very like in your face, like give your life to Christ now or you're going to go to hell, and like very aggressive, and just she calls it baby Christian Jackie or something like that, because you can see that even though her heart is in the right place, her delivery is not. So don't be the reason why we say not to be involved with a new believer, not to marry a new believer, is that allow them to develop as a believer first, so that you are not the one that's using your life as an experiment to train them. Let them partner with people that can disciple them and learn for a little while before you then go ahead and marry. To be honest, this is for your good, because you don't want to be having issues later on in your marriage because they've not yet developed enough. It's basically like marrying a baby. So yeah, that's that on that. Also, people outside the church must speak well of him so that he will not be disgraced and fall into the devil's trap. This is basically about his reputation and how he carries himself out there in the streets. If he has an evil reputation, they say there is no smoke without fire. So basically, this is something to be concerned about. In the same way, deacons must be well respected and have integrity. They must not be heavy drinkers or dishonest in money. We hear this thing about drinking again, and it's not something, we don't want drunks out here. There's a lot of reasons why. Self-control being the fruit of the spirit means that you should be able to control yourself with wine, with sex, with money. This should not be a thing where your reputation precedes you and you can't control yourself. They must be committed to the mystery of the faith now revealed and must live with a clear conscience. Before they are appointed as deacons, let them be closely examined. If they pass the test, it goes on for a while. In the same way, their wives must be respected and must not slander others. They must exercise self-control and be faithful in everything they do. Yeah, I want you to take that as your assignment, 1 Timothy 3:1-13, and read it yourself and see if there are any characteristics you come across that you're like, I didn't know that was something that was there. And for me, I think it was important. If somebody's going to be a leader in my home, let him also qualify for the traits of leadership in the church. Look for someone who bears fruit of devotion to Christ. The Bible calls men to love their wives as Christ loved the church, which means that they should be able to lay down their life for them. It's a kind of selfless love that you should be able to start seeing traits of it in your dating, in your courtship. So look out for things like that. And you're choosing somebody that you're going to submit to. Don't choose a cocky person. Don't choose a proud person. Don't choose somebody that is manipulative. Don't choose someone who is financially stingy and reckless, because you're going to submit to that as well. So apply wisdom, brethren. So that's number 3. Make sure he's full of the Spirit. You won't regret it. So here's number 4. Make sure he's into the same style of marriage as you are. And this is a way to know that you're a good fit for each other. And what do I mean by style? So when I say, oh, I love marriage, or another person says I want to be married, we might not be talking about the same thing. Some people grew up in environments where marriage to them is a wife to clean, cook, bear babies, and do her thing at home. That's all well and good if you're both traditional people and that's what both of you want. Some people have been dreaming about being stay-at-home moms all their lives. If that's not you and you marry somebody who wants that, even if he's a great guy, even if he's a spirit-filled man, you're going to have issues. So talk about these things. I will link below an article by Gary Thomas. I think it's actually from his book Sacred Search, which I will review soon. He talks about different kinds of marriages, and some of them are like travel buddies, people that just want to travel and explore the world together. Some people are like true partners, they really want to be together in everything, build wealth, all of that good stuff. But the part I want to focus on is have conversations about your values, what you see yourself doing in 10 years, 5 years, and how it will impact your life. For me, I see myself working and building things and having children as well. And like we talked about all these things in detail. There's another book I want to recommend here. It's Preparing for Marriage, Help for Christian Couples by John Piper. I reviewed it and I will add a link somewhere here. It has excellent questions that can help you, I want to say elucidate, but it feels like a big word. Bring out these answers from people, because you might not have thought about it, but the point of dating is to evaluate. I keep saying that. If you don't ask the right questions, you're not gonna get the right answers. So ask questions about their faith, about how they see themselves living. Are they into vacation? Do we have babies? How many? When? Who makes the money? Do we both make the money? Do we have joint accounts? How do we spend dispensable income? How involved are we in the church? The way you envision your life is in your head, so you need to bring it out on the table and let them bring theirs out as well and see, can we do this together? You're not trying to marry your clone. No, you can have differences, but you need to want the same things for this to work, or else you're going to keep butting heads. And it's not just I keep saying it's not a good vibe, but it is not. So you want peace, you want love, you want enjoyment of each other. So ask the right questions right now to make sure that you're not assuming anything. Make sure you want the same kind of marriage. That's number 4, and we're officially halfway through this. So stay tuned for number 5. So here's number 5. Your trusted family and friends endorse him. I know I was saying earlier that your friends might not be into his vibe and his look, but the people that love you and have been there for you over the years, your parents, especially if they are godly and not overly stuck on traditional values like marrying a fellow black person or marrying someone from the same tribe, your pastors, your leaders, your close friends should think that this person is a good fit for you. Here's why. When we're in love, our brains are like, you know how they say love is blind? We can have a tendency to throw away our core selves and try to like perform for this person. Your family, your close friends, your leaders, they should know you enough to be like, fuck, why you're acting weird and we don't like who you've become with this person. Or they should be like, this is great, we like where this is going, we endorse this guy is a great guy. Or they could be like, you play small when you're around this person belittles you and you just let it go, this is not you. They could say, we for some reason don't like this guy, we can't put a finger on it. To which I would say, it might not be a stop, it might be a pause and say, okay, let's figure out why. Sometimes people just have a check in their spirit that something is wrong, and that's the time to pray more, observe more, ask more questions. With time, things will unfold and you'll begin to see why, or things will calm down and they'll be like, okay, yeah, I'm not sure what the feeling was, maybe just need more time to get to know this person. Either ways, don't discount the opinions of people that you've trusted over the years, and this is why you have to be in community. You can't just be a solo rider all your life. Have people in your life, mentors, leaders, great friends that you connect to regularly, that know what's up with you and that can call you out and help you for important decisions like this. To know a guy is the one, your family and close friends and leaders and people you respect should endorse him. That's number 5. Okay, so we're going to move right on to number 6. He's willing to learn. We don't come as fully formed people, so it's important for a person to be willing to learn. They shouldn't be stuck in their ways and think that their say is either them or it's either what they think or yeah, you're wrong, their way or the highway. That should not be the vibe of this person. There should be things where they learn as you talk to them, and the same goes for you. There's some things that are core values and there's some things that you should be flexible on. You should be rigid about your values but flexible in how you express them in a way. So is he willing to have a talk about feminism? Maybe all his life he's always thought feminism was just feminists were just angry people and anti-God or something. But if you have a conversation about it, you should be able to have a conversation about hard topics, because life is long. There are going to be situations where you have to have conversations about hard topics, and the way he responds to it, is he willing to learn? Is he always like on attack mode? How does he react when you have arguments? All these things are important to evaluate. If a guy is not willing to learn, sis, it's gonna be hard. That's all I'm gonna say on that one. And now number 7, he has community. I was saying earlier that you shouldn't be a solo rider. This goes for him too. Who's gonna give good reports of him? We're talking about the Bible and how people need to give you a good report of him. If there's nobody around him, then who's going to give a report on how he is, how he has been through the years, or give you some history? People need to know him. He needs to have friends that he needs to have leaders, he needs to have mentors, he needs to have people that can vouch for him. If he doesn't have these things, it's a flag. I would say a red flag, yes, that he doesn't submit to anybody. So submission is not just like, oh, wives should submit to husbands. It's not women, it's wives should submit to husbands. We should also all submit to our leaders, and all of us submit to God. So there needs to be that hierarchy of people that can call him out, people that can encourage him during hard days. Life can be tough. What happens if he loses his job and goes into depression and you've exhausted your means for encouraging him? Who do you call on to come and support him? He needs to have a community, and if he doesn't have one, there are people that are they're introverts and all of that. But even introverts have people, maybe not a lot of people, but they should have 1 or 2 people that they respect and they listen to, people that they go to for advice. And if they've not yet thought about it, introduce this concept to him and see how he responds to it. This is part of being willing to learn that we spoke about earlier. So here is number 8. He has self-control / self-mastery. How is he with money? How does he control his spending? Whether a guy is making 1,000 or 10,000 or 10 million, he needs to have a budget. He needs to have a sense of where his money is going to every month and how he's managing it. You shouldn't be able to just he should control him and say, oh, I want a fancy bag, and next thing he has emptied all his savings to do that. I'm all for love and great gifts, but it's not a good vibe. Honestly, it's not. But to be honest, when you talk about self-mastery and self-control, I'm also talking about, is he addicted to gaming, to pornography, to social media? Same for you. Are there traits that are concerning, that this person doesn't seem to have a control over their self and the things that they're doing? Does he feel the need to buy the latest Yeezy shoes or phone even when his finances dictate otherwise? Is he late on rent all the time even though he has a job? This is not a sense of self-mastery. This is not a sense of knowing yourself and being able to control your appetite for things. So look out for things like this. Okay, under this point of self-mastery and self-control, I want to put having a mind of your own and not becoming another person when you are around friends or when you're around family. So this goes for, with guys, he can be a person who loves his family, which is great because it means he's empathetic and loving, but he shouldn't be controlled by his family. He shouldn't be taking every single thing you're talking about to his family, such that you're feeling the impact of his family's thoughts on decisions he's making. Like, it's this fine balance, and adulting means slowly becoming an independent person. Yes, we stay connected to our community, but we don't let our community dictate our decisions. It's a balance that you have to learn. But when you observe it, you would know when somebody's like, okay, why is everything we talk about going to your mom? Why is everything why is everything we talk about going to social media? And also, how does he treat you when he's around his friends? Does he ignore you? Does he shelter you? All of this are proof that a person has self-control over themselves, that they have a mind of their own, and that you can trust that they are not easily influenced by people around them. That's number 8, is sense of self-control and self-mastery. Alright, number 9. I can't believe I saved this one for so late down, but maybe so that you that stay to the end can really get it. He has a vision for his life and evidence that he's working towards it. Now, not everybody's going to be rich when you meet them. Not everybody is going to have attained a certain status. I know I've watched things where people are saying, I want to be taken care of. Girl, I want to be taken care of as well. But there's a wonderful thing about building together and growing together. So a guy should have a sense of vision for his life. He has to have a vision for his life. You as well as a lady should have a vision for your life. And this is some of the work you should be doing as a single person. Okay, God, what did you put me on earth for? What are the things I'm good at? How am I cultivating my talents? What do I think you're saying I will be doing in 10 years? Where do I see myself? What is the life I want to live? You shouldn't just feel lost on earth. There are seasons that are more difficult than others, where you have more clarity than others. I totally get that. But as a whole, you need to have an idea of where you're going in your life and be working towards it. Little things like not little, but parts of it, like having a craft that you're working on, having a degree that you're working on or that you have finished, that you're going to use to get a job. Knowing that I don't have it all figured out, but I feel like I'm a creative. This is what I'm doing so far. But you can't just fold your hands and say I'm a creative and I'm waiting for work to come. You need to have the good sense to, do something to give you an income, be creating on the side, or go full time into the creation and really be pursuing it with all your strength. But you can't just fold your hands. And when somebody has a vision for their lives, you need to really buy into it, because marriage is also buying into each other's vision and coming alongside them and saying, hey, let's build that together. So if there's nothing for you to build together, sis, it's a red flag. You should discuss it. And if it becomes too unbearable for you to deal with, the person still doesn't have a sense of where they're going, feel free to be like, I thank you for the time we've spent together. I appreciate all that how we've grown together, but I'm still not convinced that we're going in the same direction, and it would be prudent for me to break things off right now. I love you and I wish you the best. That felt very sad, but it is what it is, sis. It is what it is. Number 10, you made it to the end. This is amazing. You get each other's jokes. I know we talked about a lot of serious things in this video because marriage is serious, and I don't think we give enough thought to the serious part. So I'm always front loading with the serious stuff. But really, life is long and you need humor, you need dry jokes, good jokes to get through it. So it's important for you to be able to laugh at each other's jokes, even when they're silly. They shouldn't be somebody that make jokes at your expense. That's insensitive. But you should be able to laugh at silly things, funny things. Building a life together means also spending a lot of time together. So when you should find them funny, not that they have to be a comedian, that's not the point here, but you should be able to enjoy downtime together. It's not all serious all the time. You just enjoy being in their presence, and really that's a good sign that you've met somebody that is worth building a life with. This has been a lovely video, 1 to 10 points, and I'll break it into chapters so you can skip right where to where you need to be. I want to end on this note. Marriage is important. Don't build it based on bite-sized information on Twitter, on Instagram, quotes, or even on one negative life experience. I want to encourage you to put in the work, find resources that really go deep into it. When you have questions, bring them to people. Take premarital counseling seriously. And even after you're married, postmarital counseling is a thing. It could be formal, like you sit down with a counselor, or it could be like groups that you're in. I'm in a group in my church called One Flesh, where if you've been married 0 to 10 years, you just talk about everything: in-laws, sex, children, the lack thereof. And it's very nice to be in that community where you can talk about different things. If you're plugged into a local church, which I hope you are, these are things that you can suggest to your leadership so that they can put it together and be a blessing to you. This video has been awesome. If you enjoyed it so far, please give me a like and subscribe. You all need to subscribe because we're going to grow. So smash that like button, subscribe, and be back for more. There's so many other videos I've mentioned during this video that I want you to watch before you leave. 9 Marks of Maturity, or How to Know You're Ready for Marriage. The one where I talk about preparing for marriage help for Christian couples. It's a book review. And other videos about being intimidated by your boyfriend and how to look out for godly traits in each other on this channel. Basically, there's a lot on this channel, so don't just leave watching this one video. But if you've liked this one video, I want to know that you've liked it by liking it, and leave me a comment on what you've enjoyed the most in this video. Thank you again for staying tuned to the end. My name is Fopsy, and be back for more.